Have you walked down a Walmart aisle lately and felt like something is terribly wrong? Empty shelf gaps, basic survival items locked behind bulletproof glass, and shopping carts that cost 50% more to fill while holding half as much food. Right now, in 2026, the retail giant we all assumed was untouchable is flashing 13 massive red flags, and if you rely on them for your family's emergency pantry, you need to hear this immediately. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Whether you're building a 3-month survival pantry, trying to stretch a fixed household budget, or you just remember when a trip to Walmart didn't feel like navigating a high-security airport, we need to talk about what is happening behind the scenes. For decades, Walmart was the undisputed king of American preparedness and everyday bargains. But new financial data from fiscal year 2026 reveals a shocking shift. The average consumer is retreating. Physical stores are being cannibalized from the inside out, and the shopping experience has become a battlefield of locked cabinets and automated friction. Let's dive straight into the 13 signs Walmart stores are in deep, deep trouble and what it means for your own household readiness. Number 1. The $158 basket collapse. Let's start with the hard numbers that just terrified retail analysts. During the major 2026 summer sales events, the average Walmart shopper's total spend didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff, dropping from $484 down to just $326. That is a staggering $158 collapse in basket size in a single year. Why is this happening? Because budget-conscious Americans and preppers are stripping their carts of everything except raw survival essentials. We are no longer throwing extra camping gear, apparel, or patio chairs into the cart just because they look cheap. Remember when you'd walk into Walmart for a $5 pack of batteries and somehow walk out with a kayak, a blender, and 3 DVDs? Today, we're putting the kayak back on the shelf, double-checking our bank balance, and barely buying the batteries. Number 2, the lockdown retail epidemic. If you've tried to buy basic emergency hygiene products, infant formula, or even canned meats lately, you've met the wall of plexiglass. To combat retail shrinkage and inventory loss, Walmart locations across the nation have locked everyday staples behind security cabinets. For a prepper or a busy parent, this breaks the entire store model. Walmart's brand was built on speed and self-service accessibility. Now you have to hunt down an employee who is already covering 4 different departments just to unlock a plastic barrier so you can buy a $3 tube of toothpaste or a 4-pack of Spam. It turns a quick pantry stocking run into a 45-minute waiting game, and shoppers are simply walking away. Number 3. The self-checkout rollback and cashierless chaos. After spending years forcing shoppers to become their own unpaid baggers, Walmart is now removing self-checkout lanes in multiple markets or restricting them exclusively to paid Walmart Plus subscribers. Why? Because shrinkage and scanning errors skyrocketed. But here's the problem. They aren't bringing back enough human cashiers to replace those machines. Instead, customers are left standing in 30-minute lines with overflowing carts of bulk flour and canned beans, while 40 empty registers sit in the dark. There is nothing quite like being visually interrogated by a blinking overhead security camera because it thinks you didn't scan a yellow onion, only to find out next week they took the machine away entirely. Number 4. FY 2026 grocery growth stagnation food is supposed to be Walmart's recession-proof armor. In fact, grocery sales make up 59% of their entire U.S. revenue, but their latest annual report shows grocery sales growth slowed down to just 3.4% in fiscal year 2026. Compare that to the 11% growth they were boasting just 2 years ago. According to market share data, Walmart is actually losing grip on American grocery shoppers. when food prices stay elevated. Families don't stay loyal to a megastore out of habit. They hunt for every single penny of savings across town. Our pantry shelves look like we're preparing for an economic apocalypse, but our wallets look like we already survived one. Number 5. The millennial spending freeze who is actually shopping at Walmart in 2026. Recent consumer tracking reveals a massive generational divide. Baby boomers and seniors are driving foot traffic, but they're carrying the smallest baskets of any age group. Meanwhile, millennials, who were the biggest spenders just a year ago, have pulled back their spending harder than any other generation. This is a structural nightmare for a big box retailer. Millennials are the demographic in their prime earning and family-building years, the ones who should be buying diapers, bulk snacks, school supplies, and home goods by the cartload. When that group goes quiet, it's not a blip. It's a warning sign about disposable income across an entire generation. Meanwhile, older shoppers are still coming in, but they're leaving with 3 items and a greeting card, not a cart full of groceries. Foot traffic numbers can look healthy on a spreadsheet, while the actual revenue underneath is quietly hollowing out. Number 6. Hard discounters are eating their lunch, so where are all those budget-conscious shoppers going instead? Straight to hard discount grocers like Aldi, and to neighborhood Dollar General stores that have exploded in rural and suburban areas over the last several years. In 2026, time is money, and convenience is everything. A large majority of consumers now say seamless, friction-free shopping is their deciding factor when choosing where to spend. Shoppers are realizing they can walk into a small footprint Aldi, grab a month's worth of canned goods, oats, and pantry staples at lower prices, and be back in their car in 15 minutes flat. Have you seen Aldi cashiers work? They scan and launch your canned beans into the cart at what feels like Mach 5. Nobody has the patience anymore to hike across a warehouse-sized supercenter only to discover the generic peanut butter is sold out. Speed and predictability are beating sheer size, and that's a trend line Walmart cannot easily reverse. It's also worth noting that Dollar General has quietly become one of the most geographically dominant grocery footprints in rural America, often opening stores within a few miles of towns that lost their last full-service grocery store years ago. For a lot of households, that's not even a choice between convenient and less convenient anymore. It's simply the closest place to buy food. Period. Every new discount store that opens is one more crack in Walmart's old assumption that it could be the default option almost everywhere in the country. Number 7. The discretionary dead zone Walmart cannot survive on low-margin groceries alone. It needs shoppers buying high-margin general merchandise, electronics, home goods, seasonal decor, sporting equipment to keep profits healthy. But 2026 retail data reveals that discretionary categories have turned into ghost towns. During major promotional events, appliance purchases and sporting goods sales both dropped roughly 39% year over year, and home improvement goods plummeted right alongside them. Walk through the middle aisles of a supercenter today and pay attention to the silence. Nobody's browsing flat-screen televisions, novelty kitchen gadgets, or seasonal decorations when a dozen eggs and a 50-pound bag of rice already requires serious budget negotiation at home. When the discretionary aisles go quiet, that's where the real profit disappears. Groceries alone were never enough to keep the lights on. Number 8. Great value shrinkflation and brand desperation in a clear sign of pressure. Walmart announced a massive overhaul of nearly 10,000 items under its Great Value private label brand in 2026. Why redesign the label now, after decades of the same familiar packaging? Because a majority of their shoppers now say, price and affordability are their only real concern. Brand loyalty, for better or worse, is essentially dead. But sharp-eyed shoppers have noticed the darker side of this private label push: subtle shrinkflation. You grab the same familiar blue and white can of vegetables or box of oats, but the net weight has quietly dropped by an ounce or two, while the price stayed exactly the same. Open a family-sized box of generic cereal in 2026, and you might find just enough flakes to feed a moderately motivated hamster. The redesign isn't just cosmetic, it's cover for portions getting smaller while shelf prices stay frozen. Number 9. The $99.6 billion e-commerce cannibalization here is a statistic that explains why your local store feels neglected. Walmart's U.S. online sales surged nearly 23%, hitting $99.6 billion in fiscal year 2026. On the surface, that sounds like fantastic news for corporate headquarters' explosive digital growth, a modern retailer adapting to the times. But for the physical supercenter down the street, it's devastating. Every dollar spent online is a dollar that never walks past an end cap display or an impulse buy bin near the register. Those in-store extras, the candy at checkout, the seasonal item you didn't plan to buy, are where a huge chunk of discretionary profit used to come from. Now, physical stores are increasingly being converted into oversized logistics warehouses, packed with staging areas for curbside pickup and delivery drivers. The result is an in-store experience that's understaffed, cluttered with fulfillment carts blocking the aisles, and clearly not the company's real priority anymore. Number 10. Just-in-time inventory fragility. For anyone interested in preparedness or emergency planning, this is arguably the most critical sign on the entire list. Walmart runs on a hyper-lean, heavily automated, just-in-time inventory system. Stores don't maintain large backroom surpluses of food or water. They rely almost entirely on algorithmic trucking schedules delivering fresh stock daily, sometimes multiple times a day. In a calm, stable economic year, that system saves the company enormous amounts of money. But in 2026, with recurring supply chain hiccups, driver shortages, and localized panic buying around storms or economic headlines, that same lean system becomes glass brittle. When a regional weather event or a scary news cycle hits, those shelves can go bare within 2 hours, not 2 days. Relying on a just-in-time retailer for your emergency preparedness is a little like bringing a screen door to a hurricane. It works fine until the exact moment you actually need it. Think about what that means practically. A just-in-time system assumes the trucks keep rolling, the drivers keep showing up, the fuel keeps flowing, and the regional distribution centers keep humming along without interruption. Pull just one of those threads: a fuel price spike, a driver shortage, a regional storm shutting down a highway corridor, and the entire chain seizes up almost instantly because there's no buffer of backroom stock to absorb the shock. That's the trade-off Walmart made in exchange for efficiency, and it's a trade-off that works great for shareholders in a calm year and terribly for shoppers in a chaotic one. Number 11. The Amazon overlap defeat in July 2026. For the first time in retail history, Amazon Prime Day and Walmart deals went head-to-head on the exact same calendar days. It was a direct, unavoidable test of pricing power and customer loyalty, and by the numbers, Walmart lost. When shoppers compared prices side by side across the two events, roughly 43% said Amazon offered better deals, compared to just 21% who favored Walmart, a 2-to-1 gap in consumer perception. Picture throwing a massive summer barbecue at your house, and halfway through, half your guests quietly start ordering delivery from the restaurant across the street instead of eating what you made. That's essentially what happened to Walmart during its own flagship sales event, on its own turf, during a week specifically designed to showcase its pricing advantage. Number 12. CEO John Furner's volatile 2026 warning: when corporate executives start sounding like preppers, you should pay attention. Following the retirement of longtime CEO Doug McMillon, new CEO John Furner took the reins in early 2026 and almost immediately issued a sobering warning to Wall Street rather than the usual confident growth talk. Management publicly described the 2026 fiscal year as a volatile economic environment defined by sticky inflation and increasingly defensive, cautious consumers. They projected conservative growth targets and openly warned that profit margins would be under pressure just to keep existing shoppers from walking away to competitors. When the CEO of the largest retailer on earth tells investors to buckle up instead of promising smooth sailing, that isn't routine corporate messaging, that's the check engine light flashing on the broader economy. And Walmart is close enough to the dashboard to see it first. Number 13. The pivot from retailer to ad machine. Here's the ultimate proof that traditional retail, as we've always understood it, is under real strain. Walmart's biggest profit growth in 2026 isn't coming from selling you groceries or general merchandise at all. It's coming from Walmart Connect, the company's advertising division, and from monetizing customer data. The math is simple. Margins on a gallon of milk or a bag of flour are razor thin, sometimes close to break even. To make real money in 2026, Walmart is turning its app, its website, and even its in-store self-checkout screens into advertising billboards for third-party brands. In a very real sense, the company is shifting its core business model. It doesn't just want to sell you physical groceries anymore. It wants to sell your attention and your shopping data to advertisers, functioning less like a traditional retailer and more like a budget version of a social media platform that happens to also sell rice and paper towels. Think about the incentive shift that creates. When a retailer's fastest-growing profit center is advertising, the customer experience quietly stops being the top priority. The advertiser relationship becomes the top priority. That's why your app increasingly nudges you towards sponsored products instead of the cheapest option on the shelf. That's why the self-checkout screen shows you a video ad while you're trying to bag your groceries. None of that makes the actual shopping experience better. It makes the ad inventory more valuable, which is a completely different goal than the one Walmart was originally built around. So what does all of this add up to for you, your family budget, and your emergency preparedness? It means the era of relying on a single, massive retail supercenter to be cheap, fully stocked, and pleasant to shop in is over. Walmart is fighting a war on multiple fronts simultaneously, shrinking basket sizes from its core middle-class customers, aggressive discount competitors picking off budget shoppers, automated in-store friction pushing people away, and an increasingly fragile just-in-time inventory system that can't absorb shocks the way a well-stocked warehouse could. None of this means Walmart is disappearing tomorrow. It's still the largest retailer in the world. It employs more Americans than almost any other private company. And it will likely remain a major part of the grocery landscape for years to come. But too big to fail doesn't mean too big to falter, and the cracks we've just walked through are the kind that compound quietly until the day they don't. Think about it this way. A company doesn't wake up one morning and collapse. It slides. It slides through 13 small, individually explainable decisions: a locked cabinet here, a shrunk cereal box there, a shift toward advertising revenue over grocery margins, and none of those decisions look catastrophic in isolation. Corporate leadership can defend every single one of them on an earnings call. But stack all 13 together, and you're not looking at a healthy business making smart adjustments. You're looking at a business quietly redesigning itself around its own weaknesses, hoping customers don't notice the pattern until it's too late to plan around it. That's why this video exists. Not to tell you Walmart is going bankrupt next quarter, it isn't, but to make sure you see the pattern before it shows up as an empty shelf in your own local store during the next storm, the next supply chain hiccup, or the next round of panic buying. As preppers and smart shoppers, the strategy for the rest of 2026 has to be diversification. Don't wait for an actual emergency to discover that your local supercenter's shelves are bare or locked behind plastic cabinets. Start building your pantry steadily now, spreading your purchases across local farmers markets, restaurant supply stores, bulk grain distributors, and hard discounters like Aldi. Secure your baseline independence while you still have options, and while supply chains are merely strained, not broken. If this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening in retail right now, do me a favor and hit that like button so this video can reach more people who need to see it. I want to hear from you in the comments below. What's the worst change you've noticed at your local Walmart this year? Are you seeing more locked shelves, more self-checkout headaches, or have you already switched where you buy your pantry essentials? Make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss our updates on preparedness, survival strategies, and economic shifts. Stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.